Welcome back to Basement Biology. I'm Josh, and you dirty little freaks won't stop leaving me messages like this one. And I love it. So let's talk about it. Eels are slimy little bastards, and in the grand scheme of things, we don't really know much about. Do we know exactly where eels reproduce? Short answer? Not really. Long answer? Kind of. It depends. There's over 800 different species of eels out in the world, and we only know so much about a couple of them. Now, say we're talking about moray eels, the genus Morena. We know somewhat about their life cycle, and we've actually watched them reproduce. Back in 1982 in Japan, we watched them reproduce. There were Japanese scuba divers watched them embrace like this, and then when they departed, a cloud of gametes were pushed out into the water, and at that point, it's left up to chance whether those egg and sperm join together and fertilize to become a juvenile eel. Now, this was only at 12 meters of depth. They don't have to go super deep to do this, and actually, warmer waters are better for eel reproduction. Some people are saying that we cut them up and we don't know where the gonads are. That's not true. We do. There are two gonads. One is a lot longer than the other, and proportionally, they release different amounts of gametes into the water when they reproduce. What I'm sure most people are referring to is the Anguillidae genus. This genus has only a couple species in it, and it's the most well-known species of the whole. The top three are the European eel, the American eel, and the Japanese eel. It's these species that we don't know exactly where they reproduce or really where they come from. This species is really weird because they are freshwater eels, but they are born in saltwater and they go to reproduce in saltwater. And other than that, we don't know too much. What we do know is that they all leave the river once they become horny motherfuckers, swim out across the ocean. We've tracked them as far as the edge of the Sargasso Sea. We don't really know exactly where in the Sargasso Sea they reproduce and why they'd have to travel all that far. But the European eel swims across the entire Atlantic to the Sargasso Sea to reproduce. The American eel is the only freshwater eel in all of America, and that guy still leaves the river to go reproduce in the ocean. The Japanese eel does not travel all the way to the Sargasso Sea. The Japanese eel, we think, reproduces somewhere along the western ridge of the Mariana, and that's about all we know. Now, we've tried to attach trackers. I've tried to attach stuff to eels personally, and it's fucking hard. They slip out of shit so easy, it's hard to keep anything attached to them. And it doesn't help that they live in rocks, so they are constantly in these tiny little crevices that they squeeze into and the shit gets knocked off. I believe it was back in 2022 when scientists finally had trackers that kind of led us to the Sargasso Sea, but they fell off before they fully got there. And so we kind of think that's where they go. Of course it's the Bermuda Triangle, because they're fucking aliens, but the Bermuda Triangle is another fucking topic. Here's the crazy shit of what happens when they go to the Sargasso Sea to reproduce, is that we don't see the adults return. They don't come back. Only juveniles we've seen leave. Scientists have done studies in labs where they have gotten two eels to reproduce in front of them, and right after reproduction, that's the moment that their bodies start failing, and then they die. So now we know enough information to kind of form a hypothesis. Do we know exactly where they reproduce? No. Have we watched them do it in the wild? No. But we kind of know the structure of what can occur. My theory is they do what they did in Japan. I think they swim to the Sargasso Sea, they come together, they release a plume of gametes that fertilize mid-water, and then they die. So then what happens with the eggs? So the eggs that are fertilized, I believe, will fall down to the bottom of the ocean and land in what's called marine snow, which is a really cool term for something really fucking disgusting. Basically an accumulation of fish poop and dead organic material, and it's literally everything that's in the ocean that you don't want there to be. So when they fall into this marine snow, I think the eggs will eventually turn into juveniles, and the juveniles will eat the marine snow and build up some energy from that and grow, and when they're strong enough they will swim back to the European rivers or the American rivers or wherever they came from and start over. And I think that's exactly what happens with the reproductive cycle, but we've never exactly seen it, and so we can't say for sure. There are just barely any publications for all eels in total. They are so incredibly cryptic and elusive, it's so hard to get your hands on them. And from personal experience, they will fucking bite that hand off So that's kind of what I know about the reproductive cycle of eels. I mean, there's a lot of theories and speculation, but there's not a lot of hard evidence, and so it's really hard to determine what exactly occurs. So when you talk about eels, it just depends on the species. We kind of know. We don't know everything about them. The conger eel is, we don't know all that much about congers at all. And all I know is I've caught one once and it was friendlier than the morays. I hope that helps. I don't really know if it does, but I maybe